Hello, hello. Welcome to this episode of the Hello, Hello podcast. I am your host, Alyssa Rogers. Today it's just me. And I'm trying to be really high energy, but I'm not feeling the best. If you were following my journey last week, I was in Vegas at the 10X Growth Conference with 6,500 people or more. And I have brought back something that is not fun. And let me tell you, the worst thing that can happen when you're at a conference like that is that high energy, surrounded by super successful people. You get fired up and you're like, I can't wait to go home and start implementing stuff and get to work. And then you come down with this. It's like all motivation gone. All I want to do right now is be in the bed. And I'm like sweating right now. It's just not fun. So I wanted to make sure that I came on here and went over everything with you. I took notes during the conference because I wanted to share with you my biggest takeaways, because I thought it would be really cool to share with you kind of that experience. And so I'm going to do my best. This won't be super long, but I'm showing up for you. I'm showing up because that's what I do. So the 10X Growth Conference, it was in Vegas. And as you know, I've told stories about going to this every year. It's 3 years ago, it changed me and Joey's life when we went and we really realized what was possible. You know this. I look forward to this every year. The coolest thing about this year is it's always been me and Joey that go. This year, Joey decided to stay back, and we were able to take 2 team members with us. Someone came up to me at the conference and that worked for 10X, and she was like, how are you enjoying the conference so far? And I was like, it's been great. And she's like, what's been your favorite part? And there are so many great parts, but the best part for me was getting to share that experience with a couple team members. It was very, very cool to have them there. So we took Brandon Frost and Tyler Duffer. It was awesome to kind of experience it through their eyes in a way and introduce them to that world. And then another cool thing is they streamed it live for free. So it was playing in the office here throughout the week as well. So the rest of our team could watch it if they wanted to and tune in. Very, very cool. The cool thing about this conference is it's Grant Cardone, and he invites people to just come have conversations with him. So it's not like a lecture, it's more of a conversation. So kind of like what we do here every week in talking to others and getting to know their story. That's what he does, but he does it with some really successful people. And there were multiple billionaires on the stage. And so it's really cool to hear their story. And so some common themes around the week I'll share with you, and hopefully it inspires you. It definitely inspired me. The common theme was surround yourself with the right people. You have to surround yourself with the right people. And they mentioned, think of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and are they successful? Are they where you want to be? Because you are who you hang around. And so, excuse me, you need to surround yourself with believers. If you have a vision, you have to surround yourself with people that see your vision, believe in your vision to help you get to where you want to be. So, common theme from everyone. Not trying is the biggest failure you can ever have. I think a lot of times we can get caught up in being scared to try things or being scared of failure. I know that's been one of my fears, right? Even starting this podcast, I was scared because I thought it may fail. And, you just have to try it. You never know what may happen. And so, Not trying is a failure. So you have to try. Everything starts with an idea. Grant Cardone kept saying that you have to have an idea, And so it just starts there. So form an idea. And so who was on the stage? We had Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank. We had Eric Trump. We had Alina Habba. We had Jimmy John, founder of Jimmy John's, Ryan Reynolds, Martha Stewart. These are all names you recognize. And I'm going to give you my biggest takeaways from these individuals. So Martha Stewart, number one, she was huge on marketing. If you've watched her documentary on Netflix, it was really eye-opening to her story, but she talked more about that. But she marketed herself the entire time she was on the stage. The entire time she marketed herself. And she's just a really cool human being, and she's just persevered, and she's very strong-willed, and she just believes in herself. And that was a common theme too. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your ability, and you have to never give up. And that was her. And she always spins everything into a positive. She went to prison, and she was like, well, I taught people how to sew. I taught people how to entertain. I turned it into a good thing, right? And so that was a common theme with her. Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank. A couple takeaways, a couple things I wrote down that he said was, a mind once expanded cannot go back to its original size. That's pretty good. That resonated with me. And then he says he's never had a plan B. There's the idea, and then there's plan A, and it's got to work. He doesn't even rely on a plan B, because he says if he has a plan B, that's like his out on plan A. So he sticks with the original idea and works really hard to achieve that original idea. And then he said, everyone wants to be successful, but very few pay the price. And that resonated with me too, because it's so easy to say we want to be successful, but are we willing to do what it takes to be successful? Because doing what it takes to be successful takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of sacrifice, and you're going to have to give and take, and you have to be willing to do what it takes. And not everyone's willing to do that. And I think that's okay too, but you have to be able to realize that, right? And so if you truly want to be successful, you have to put in the time and the sacrifice, and you have to do what it takes. And it's not easy. Not a single person on that stage said that it was easy getting to where they were today, to the billionaire status, right? It's been very tough. They had to sacrifice things. And I'll get to more on that when I get to Jimmy John, because he talked about that a little bit too. And then Eric Trump was there. Phenomenal. It was very, very cool listening to him, because he's very family oriented. He's very, he's the president of the Trump properties. So he was talking about what it takes to run these properties and kind of what they look for. And his common theme was attention to detail, attention to the small things, which was very, very cool to listen to. He gave a reference of we tend to go into hotels and stuff, and we look at the lobby and we're like, wow, the lobby's so clean, or the lobby looks good, right? But he says you need to go into the electrical rooms. And so being in the trades, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And so he says you got to go into the electrical rooms, and you'll really know how organized and how much they pay attention to detail. Because if you go into an electrical room and it's spot on, everything's where it needs to be, it's organized and it's not a mess, you're in a great organization. And so when they go to purchase properties, that's what they look at. They say, I don't want to see your lobby, take me to your electrical room. And that was just so fantastic to me. I thought that was the coolest thing. And he says he pays attention to details. The small things matter. And, they own a lot of buildings. They build a lot of buildings. And so he was talking about his team and how you can build a person like you build a building. And he gave a story of one of their long-term employees. And he said that there was a guy that used to like pick him up from school and drive him everywhere, right? And then all of a sudden, like he started going to properties with them and stuff like that and paying attention. He would pay attention to everything. And to a point where they were bidding on a job and he was like, well, how about you let me do this? I know the architects. I know this. I know this. I know this. Can you give me a chance? And they were like, sure, I'll give you a chance. And now like he manages one of their properties and has been doing that for like 30 years and doing a fantastic job. But he started like just driving and picking up the Trumps. And so they say you can build people like buildings, and you just give them opportunities, you let them learn, and they will go really far. And it's about who you surround yourself with and those that really want to learn and grow. So back to that common theme of surround yourself with the right people. And so he was really cool. And then Alina Habba, which I don't really pay attention to a whole lot in the media and on the news and stuff like that, honestly. So I didn't know her prior to her coming on stage, but I'm like forever a fan of her now. Like forever a fan. I'm like, I need to figure out how to get in the room with her. She is phenomenal. She is actually Trump's lawyer. He selected her, and she is a force. She has like overcome so much as far as like she is self-made. She's a certified badass. Like look her up, read her story. It's very cool. But my biggest takeaway, like I was just in awe of her. Like I didn't take a lot of notes because I was just so dialed in when she was speaking. Like she just has a presence about her. But the biggest takeaway I had from her was, you know, she is self-made and she was very successful prior to becoming Trump's lawyer. And like, let's think about this. Like he's been going through a lot over the last 4-6 years, for a long time, for years. He's been going through a lot in the court system. And so she's been by his side and fighting for him. Like that is not an easy thing to do when you feel like all you're doing is sitting in a courtroom defending someone over and over again for crazy things. So that was, you know, that takes a lot. But she says that she was self-made before then. And to find her circle, she says now that she is where she is, like, and, you know, a lot of people want to be around her and a lot of people want to come and talk to her. But she always pays attention to, like, let's say that she's at a restaurant and she has people coming up to her. Before she even like talks to them, she looks at where they came from and like what table they came from and wants to know like who's sitting at their table. Who's sitting at their table? Who are they surrounding themselves with before she decides if she wants to get to know someone? And that's very cool because we kind of do that too, right? Like, I don't know about you, but if someone tries to like start talking to me or whatever, you know, or I am trying to figure out who to come on the podcast, like we always like go on Facebook and see like who our mutual friends are, right? Like we try to see that. And so it's kind of like that. Like she wants to know like who's sitting at their table and is it someone that is worth, you know, like are they doing the work to make themselves better or are they hanging around people they shouldn't be hanging around, right? So that was very cool for me. And then Jimmy John. I mean, I had no idea who he was. I didn't even know like Jimmy John was Jimmy John's, you know, like that was like a person. I knew it was a business, right? But I'm obsessed with him too. Like he is phenomenal. He's a cool guy. He's a charismatic guy. He's very funny. He's just like your normal guy. You would never know he's as successful as he is, but there were so many great takeaways from him. But the main thing was he was like, you have to put your head down and do the work. He like sacrificed a lot of time with his family throughout the years. He like even got choked up on stage because he's like, I missed a lot of time with my kids and I'm trying to like get that time back. But And I've talked to him a lot about forgiveness, but it was really hard for him, but he had to sacrifice that to be where he is, and that's what he did. But he's like, you got to put your head down and do the work. Like, truly, you have to do that. And he would travel to different Jimmy John locations just to turn it around. The cool thing about his story is his dad was really hard on him and didn't help him with anything. Like, he gave him a loan to start a business, and like it compounded interest and everything. Like, he didn't help him at all in a lot of ways. And the first business he was going to open was a hot dog shop. But then he realized that there were too much equipment that he needed to do the hot dogs. So he went into a deli one day and realized you only needed like 3 machines, and he had enough money to buy those 3 machines. So he started a sandwich shop, and now it's Jimmy John's. We all know Jimmy John's. So that was really cool. But he also said being wrong means you're one step closer to being right. And so it's okay to be wrong. You have to be wrong sometimes to be right and to learn what's right. And so very, very cool guy. And then Ryan Reynolds. We all know Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool. Like, he's a cool guy. And my biggest takeaway for him is he mentioned something that really stood out to me. He said, do you remember as a child, before we had some of you are probably listening and don't know what it's like to not have technology, but for those that do remember what it's like to not have technology, do you remember riding in the car or riding on the bus and seeing raindrops come down the window of the car, and you're watching it and watching the path and just staring out a window, or laying in the grass looking up at the sky and looking at clouds and just thinking, or just before technology. And he was like, when we go to heaven, or we get to the gates and we're looking down at our life and what we've accomplished, are we going to be looking at ourselves just scrolling? How much time of our life did we just scroll and scroll and scroll? And I was like, holy cow, right? We are all guilty of that. And he says we need to get back to a place of being bored, because our phones don't allow us to be bored anymore. We don't have boredom in our life at all. And so he says when you get rid of boredom, you get rid of creativity. And I truly believe that. I truly believe you get rid of creativity when you get rid of boredom, because boredom, makes you think. And so he starts his day and he says it's very hard. He says it's one of the hardest things ever not to pick up his phone. So it's not this easy thing I just don't, pick up my phone in the morning. He's like, it's excruciating to see that phone or think of something and be like, oh, I'll just look it up and not look it up, right? It's so hard. And so I just think we need to get back to a place of being bored. I'm going to try it. I'll keep you updated, right? It's going to be super hard. I'm a scroller, okay? I wake up in the morning, I scroll. It's just what I do. I need to get away from it. I know it's a problem, okay? I have a problem. I am admitting it, but I'm going to try to get back to a place of boredom. Let me know if you want to try it with me and check in on me, because it's going to be interesting. But that was a huge takeaway. So main takeaways for me, it was awesome to spend time with team members and see them experience that. It was awesome to be surrounded by so many great people in the 10X community. The sad thing is it's the last 10X Growth Conference, so there are no more. It was the 10th one, and it was the last one. So I'm excited to see what they do next, but I'm going to be sad because this is where I gain inspiration every year. And so congratulations to them for going on for 10 years and making something so great happen every year. It changed my life. And then, I'm just going to continue taking this, hopefully feel better so I can start implementing some things here very soon. I'm going to catch up on everything I missed and work on getting healthy so I can go after it and hit the ground running again. But I wanted to share that with you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Hello, Hello. If you made it this far, thank you so much. I know I don't sound great, and I'm like sweating over here. So thank you for sticking with me, and we have some great guests coming up in the coming weeks. It's going to be fantastic. I'm excited to do that. We're doing some on-site stuff, so it's going to be really cool. And we'll talk to you next week. Continue rating, reviewing, subscribing. Watch our YouTube channel. It's all on there. And we'll talk to you next week.